Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be a carry tier list for patch 7.37D, and we all know that, patches come out right after I do tier lists, whenever it is, it doesn't really matter, so I figured I'd do you guys a solid, and I'd release tier lists this week so that we can get the patch this week or next week, because that always happens. We were kind of expecting a patch with the Kez patch and the Crownfall patch, but it didn't happen, so maybe they were delaying, maybe it's going to be a while, I don't know. I mean, the meta is getting a little bit stale, but it is what it is, so hopefully this can push Valve and be like, yeah, obviously these tier lists are released now, so we have to do a patch. Anyway, let's just jump into S tier, and first we're going to take a look at Luna. Luna is one of the best heroes of the patch, mainly because when they introduced, passives and facets, any hero that got something for free usually got a lot better, and then they ironed some things out, and some heroes kind of like really rose to the top, and other kind of heroes fell off a little bit. And Luna was one of those heroes that definitely rose to the top, because before you used to have to put points in Lunar Blessing and points in Glaives because you wanted to farm and you wanted damage, and then you would kind of probably skip Lucent Beam points because that's just good for maybe harassing in lane, but then really the idea of the hero was to farm. Now you don't have to care about that at all because you just got a free ability in Lunar Orbit, which is honestly not that good, so you don't really even level it, and then you get the Lunar Beam or the Lunar Blessing passive just for free. Like, you don't even have to put points in it, so you just get Moonglaves and you get Lucent Beam. You hit people in lane with this, which is insane damage. Once you get your ult, you can solo kill people, you can still farm extremely quickly, and then you still get the damage, and then you get this extra damage from the facet. So all those things add up to the hero just being really good early, really good in the lane, really good at farming. And then later in the game, this level 25 talent, the Lucent Beam hits an additional target, is really good. That's honestly one of the best talents in the game right now. You just kind of melt people. It's absolutely ridiculous, especially if you buy Conda, which is crazy. Then you also have a Shard, which is decent to actually make Lunar Orbit not that bad. Your Eclipse plus like Refresher Eclipse with the Ags is actually really good. And you're not going to get that till like late game, once you're 6, 7 slotted even or whatever. But still, that's great to just have that option on the hero. So all that just adds up to this hero doesn't do anything crazy new or different. It's just that the skills early made this hero way better early, and then you still farm quickly, and then you still do insane damage, and you don't really fall off. So honestly, that's why the hero is so good right now. Nothing else super special about the hero, though. Then we have Medusa, similar to Luna in the sense that you're farming super quickly, but obviously different because the main reason this hero is so broken is because of like the tankiness of her mana pool and all that kind of stuff. But then the other thing that happened is just like Luna got that Lunar Orbit, she got this Gorgon's Grasp, which is something that she never had before. Obviously, she has the Ags, and she has the Stone Gaze, which will like kind of stun people. I mean, it is a stun, but it's not really super reliable. It's not something that you're just going to be using all the time to like hit people. But this Gorgon's Grasp is really good because you can use it in the lane to secure kills or harass people, or even for some defensive capabilities. And then later on in the game, yes, it's not super reliable to hit, like it takes a while to come out, but it's a good follow-up route to just allow you to stick on people in an independent way. Because the problem with the hero before she had this Gorgon's Grasp is that obviously, it's the same thing. Mana Shield used to be an ability, and now it's just a passive. But the problem was you really reliant on your team, like 100% reliant on your team to actually go in and stun people and use abilities and all that kind of stuff. And so it was annoying when your team didn't do that, or you wanted to lock someone down yourself. And it's kind of like annoying to have to press Stone Gaze offensively, although you can do that sometimes. But that's like the main way you're going to be stunning people, and you don't really want to do it offensively unless you're way far ahead or it's like a gank or something. And then Ags isn't really what you want to build either, because you want to be building as a carry hero, damage and tank ability and like Scotty and Butterfly and all that kind of stuff, Manta. Ags isn't really something you want to get till super late. So this just allows you to get that little bit of extra control that allows you to hit people and actually kill them and finish them off, which is amazing for the hero. And then obviously getting these 2 facets that are decent are going to be good. This one, which is the Snake facet, which is almost more of like a mid Medusa kind of thing, off lane Medusa, if that's even really something that's real, which it's not, but people have tried it. This is more around that if you're going for the Shard and the Scepter, but really most people are going to be getting this just because this amps up your attack damage, which is just going to be good. Again, it's just like Luna, something free for your right clicks that you don't really have to think about. It's just this extra passive thing that makes you better. So that's why Medusa is really good right now. Plus this like tank ability from her Mana Shield with her passive is just kind of insane. Like, I think when that was changed, she was broken. Then she was kind of nerfed, and people thought it wasn't good anymore. But I think it was always good. It just kind of, sometimes that happens where it falls out of the meta, but then it's still good, and people realize later, like, oh wait, this is actually still good, and then they start playing it again. And that's kind of what happened with this hero too as well. And then lastly, for S tier heroes, we have Shadow Fiend. And this hero is similar to the last two in the sense that he got a free ability, Feast of Souls, so the Necromastery that he used to have as an ability is now his passive. But the funny thing is, and kind of just like the other two heroes, this is not really a super relevant ability. Like, you know, the Lunar Orbit and the Gorgon's Grasp are not great. Gorgon's Grasp is decent, though, for locking people down. But this Feast of Souls is actually terrible. No one even levels it. They don't even level it to the last levels. They level stats instead. So it's kind of funny because he got something for free. But it's more the fact that he just got this ability innately that is good. This thing is actually really bad. No one uses it because it costs souls. And the actual thing that makes this hero super broken is, one, that you're getting Necromastery stacks in the beginning. Your Shadow Race is very good, so your laning stage is great. But actually, this lasting presence is really insane. So when you win a team fight, when you kill heroes or heroes are killed around you, you just get insane, absurd amounts of damage. Like if you win a team fight and you're around all the heroes that died, and then you push high ground, you will literally like 3-shot the tower. That's what's insane with this hero going carry build. And so that's why the hero is crazy. And these lasting presence stacks last long enough. It's maybe not in the super late game where people's, death timers are like 2 minutes. That's usually not going to happen where you stack on top of each other. But it lasts long enough that you can transition from one fight to the next and not actually lose the stacks, because every time someone dies, they kind of refresh. So that's the insane part. It's not like each stack has its own timer. They'll actually refresh the stacks if it's almost done and you get another kill or there's another kill around you, which is the insane part. So later in the game, you can kind of just snowball out of control, almost like a Slark in a way, where if you get these stacks up, you will just delete buildings you're impossible to fight into, and the enemy just has to kind of wait, but their racks are just going to be dead by the time they wait the lasting presence out, and that's what's really good about the hero. Plus, obviously, like I said, getting this for free, having this good early laning stage, having a decent ultimate to get you out of jail free, farming pretty quickly. These are all good things with the hero, but the hero just does insane right-click damage right now, which is why the hero is so good. So next we have A tier. These heroes are all very good right now. Like, they're not broken like the S tier heroes, I would say, but they're all definitely pickable in almost every single game, especially like with Morph. If you're a Morph player, this is the patch to play Morph. Like, you could even say maybe he's S tier if you're a great Morph player, but even if you're not a Morph player, this could be a great patch to learn this hero because he is so good. Honestly, I've seen people not even put abilities or skill points in a lot of his abilities. Like, they just take stats because his level 1 Morph is so good at this point. And honestly, you can just get like the waveform, which is good, and maybe max that up for the damage and stuff like that. But the fact that you don't even need to put points in the hero's abilities makes the hero broken. I think this is one of those heroes where he's always good for some patches and then he gets nerfed into quote-unquote oblivion, but he's actually still very good because people still use him to like stomp in Smurf games and stuff like that. But in any case, the only thing that I would say that's unique or special about this hero right now that's like different from before is that he's going for this kind of Vlad's Conda build, which is something that you wouldn't really get before. Now, it's not every single game that you're going to get that, but you're probably going to get Vlad's for the most part in every game, and you can literally just burst heroes. It's almost like the old, from 6, 7, 8 years ago, whatever, the old E-Blade build where you would rush E-Blade. It's sort of similar to that kind of build where you just honestly waveform in, you right click them a couple times maybe, and then you just use your adaptive strike and they just are deleted. Like, you can get to this item timing at like 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes or whatever, and supports will just get one shot. Like, you just waveform in, hit them with one ability, they're just done, they're dead. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous what you can do with the hero. Now, yes, you probably want to buy BKB, you might want to get Manta, you might want to get some of these other items for the hero before you get Conda, but still, the fact that the hero can just delete people like that is kind of insane right now. Then we have Alchemist, just overall a good hero. Again, another hero that sort of was buffed with the getting a free ability kind of thing. Now, it's a passive ability. No one really focuses on that. But the fact that you just don't have to care about which skills you level and you can just level your stun early, which is great, helps you in the laning stage, helps you harass, helps you secure kills even in the laning stage, where before you were just a farming hero. Now you can farm and get kills, which is kind of crazy. And then the fact that you give ags to people and all that kind of stuff is something that's been around for a while, but it is still very good, especially because now you're like refunding people the ags if they already bought it, which is crazy. So it allows them later on in the game, your teammates can just go for ags, not really worry about it, and then get the money back and go for a different item, which is kind of insane. So I think overall, this hero is just really good because it farms so fast and because of the free passive and all that kind of stuff. You do fall off a little bit later in the game, which I feel like is why maybe the S tier heroes, it would just be A and not S. So even though you do give ags to some people, that would be the only consideration I would say of why you wouldn't be an S tier hero and it would just be an A tier hero. But still, very good right now. Then Gyro, I personally actually don't love Gyro. I'm not like a huge Gyro fan, but it seems like whenever Luna and Medusa are good, Gyro's up there as like the discount version, unless Gyro's broken, of course. But like if Gyro's not like the reason that the meta is where it is, then he'll be the discount version. Or it might be kind of similar where maybe Gyro is really good and Luna's the discount version. It always seems to track in a similar kind of way, and that's very similar to this patch where these are all ranged carries, as you can see. Ranged carry, obviously melee, but then ranged carry. A lot of these ranged carries are very, very good right now, and the melee carries are not so good. And so Gyro just kind of fits into that mold. I would say he does all the same things he always used to. He buys Ags. He has Flat Cannon. He can buy Rapier later. He buys Satanic. All the same stuff he did before, he does now. I don't think there's anything super crazy, super different, super special. The only thing is he does have one facet that allows him to gain movement speed whenever his Rocket Barrage hits, which can be very, very good for laning stage, which does buff up his laning stage, but otherwise, he's very similar to these heroes, just kind of the discount version, like I said. Then next we have Dragon Knight, and although this hero is kind of melee, quote unquote, it's actually another range carry because you're pretty much going to be focusing on the ultimate, which is the dragon form. And so again, he's another kind of ranged carry. And the thing with this hero is when they introduced facets, the hero was really good, I think, with the green facet. I think that was the one that was broken that would like poison people. It was just like super OP. But now people are realizing that actually he just has a built-in battle fury. So he's almost similar to a Sven, where he just has this cleave with the red facet, which makes him able to just be a carry. So people are going for Armlet, which is just really good because the hero has that innate regen where Armlet isn't really that punishing to go for. And obviously he's a strength hero. And then they just go in for right-click items. You usually won't buy a Blink. You'll probably buy like maybe SNY, BKB, Daedalus, something like that. And then you just get super fat, super hard to bring down. And you also have early game timings where you do insane amounts of damage. You delete towers. And you don't really need, like I said, to buy that farming item other than the Armlet. So that's why this hero can be really good right now. Again, it's sort of like a discount S-tier version of the hero where it's not like super broken in the sense that I would pick one of these heroes before this hero, but it is very, very good, very tanky. And the other thing that you can do, obviously this is kind of foreshadowing a little bit, but you can play this hero in other roles where you wouldn't really do that with these other heroes because this is sort of a flexible hero. But right now it's getting played a lot as a carry. So the next hero is Bristleback, and he's similar to Dragon Knight in just the sense that he's kind of an off-lane hero that's being played as a carry. And the story with this hero is there's two main things. One, the facets when they first were introduced were just absolutely garbage, like they both were bad. They introduced a third facet, which is fine. You can actually pick it now, which is Seeing Red. And it does have a negative aspect when you activate it. You kind of like limit your vision, but you just do more damage and you can activate it when you want. The other two were just like garbage. They just make you do like less damage or shoot goo out instead of quills, which that one actually people are sort of picking it sometimes now. You know, they see that it's not as bad as maybe it was before, but like, or what they thought it was before, but still the fact that you can just have a facet that you can go to that's not completely negative is good. Then the other actual big thing that I think made the hero good is that they changed the Ags. And at first people were kind of disappointed because the old Ags was pretty interesting, at least in the sense that it allowed the hero to be dynamic and be played as a carry. And people thought, oh, this isn't a carry build anymore. But actually now it's even more of a carry because you can go Ags first. You farm insanely quickly because you're able to like farm stacks and you just melt like supports. As soon as you get it, you can just turn your back, activate your Ags, and you shoot out a million quills and they just die instantly, which is kind of crazy. So that allows you to scale into late game by farming, also allows you to do insane damage late with your Ags, and then you can just run at them because all those quills that you shoot out gives you ultimate stacks. So what your ultimate does is every time you use an ability, you get more movement speed and damage and all that kind of stuff, which is kind of insane because you're shooting out those quills extremely quickly. So it synergizes in this way that makes this hero really do insane amounts of damage. Like when you get max stacks late, you just push towers so quickly, which is not really something you would expect from a Bristleback, but it is. He just like hits buildings super quickly. He just deletes people. Like if the Bristleback is on top of you with max stacks, you will just get like 3-shot. It's absolutely absurd. Then the next two heroes, these might be like a little bit controversial and a little bit like personal opinion in a way. Now the stats do bear out that these two heroes are pretty good, but I would say if you don't want to pick a ranged hero, you know, Luna, Medusa, Shadow Fiend, these are ranged heroes. You know, Morphling's kind of a specialist hero. Alchemist is a little bit of a cheese hero. Gyrocopter, another ranged hero. These are two like tanky offlane strength kind of carry heroes, like a little bit weird. Like the carry pool right now is kind of awkward. If you just want a typical melee carry, the two carries to build or to pick right now are Ursa and Phantom Assassin, and they both build Battle Fury and they farm pretty quickly and they do a lot of damage. You can participate early with Ursa. You can go super late with PA. Ursa's downside is that he doesn't hit buildings, which kind of sucks, but he can do Roche and everything like that. I think PA is just an all-around great hero right now. I would say people at first were experimenting with methodical, that one facet. I would say don't go that facet. Just go the typical PA facet. That way you can split push, and because if you go the methodical facet, I actually don't think it's that great, and you can't like farm creep waves with your invis. So the other one, you can farm creep waves with your invis, and I just don't necessarily love like being guaranteed a crit, but the crit doesn't always come out like you want. Sometimes you won't always hit the heroes as many times, like the 6 times that you need, or with the dagger like 4 or whatever. Anyway, not to get too much into that, but I would say that this hero's laning stage and all that kind of stuff is what's weak because you're building Battle Fury, but like in most pubs, most brackets, it's just going to be insane and scale late, and I think it's just a pub stomper. So, and the same thing with Ursa, like you are very, very strong. Your late game, like towers aren't great, but in general, if you want to pick a melee hero, and none of them are very good right now, just pick one of these two. Then last, I would say Kez is A tier. Now, honestly, before the nerfs, I would have put him S tier. And at first when he came out, people were like, oh, this hero's terrible. And I'm like, dude, the people that would say this, they just don't understand the hero. Not that I understand it. That's the thing. I don't understand the hero fully either. Like, I'm not an expert. But you can just tell that the hero is complicated in a way where people need to figure out what the hero does. And at first, for the first like few days, he was getting played in all these weird positions. People were going stupid builds. People realized, okay, this is literally just a Battle Fury building hero from carry. Maybe there are some mid builds too. I think maybe this hero will end up being a mid, but probably more a carry. It's hard to really say in the long run. But right now, I think the Battle Fury build with like Manta or BKB or these other items that are just straight up carry items, this hero is broken. And the thing that they nerfed about the hero, for the most part, is they really just nerfed the laning stage. And I think that is good. I think that was a good nerf because people were picking this hero as like a 5 position, pressing Falcon Rush level 1 and just solo killing supports. And that is insane. Like, this hero is designed probably to be more of a carry. So you don't want people picking it as a 5 position and then soloing supports level 1. Like, you don't want it doing that. So they nerfed the Falcon Rush like level 1, but level 7, it's pretty much the same. It's just that the time that it was active early is lower. I think they nerfed a bunch of damage numbers too, a little bit here and there. So it's not like completely broken, but still, I think once you get to max level as a carry, you know, you're almost the same hero and you're very, very good. Now, you're not the hardest carry in the world, but you're definitely like a carry that can just participate early. And if you have these timings early when you get a few items, it's very, very hard to deal with the Kez early on. Late game, you might get out carried by some heroes, but you're very like slippery and evasive, and you can kind of go in and out of fights. So I think this hero is really, really good, does an insane amount of damage. Is A tier because of the nerfs, but honestly, wait for people to keep playing it, because people were like, oh, they got nerfed, it's done. But I think over time, you'll see here, people be like, oh, wait, this hero's actually still very good as a carry. So that's why I'm putting it A. That's my opinion so far for Kez. I do really like the design. I really like the hero in general. Next, we have B tier. So Muerta is a carry. Mainly that's good right now because she's ranged, I would say. She's kind of like an awkward one. Sometimes she can have very bad matchups because it's the same thing Muerta has always done. But sometimes she can just absolutely shred people. Again, just depends a lot on matchups. One of those heroes that, like you see here, a lot of these ranged heroes are decent, even though they're not the best hero right now. Ranged heroes are just great, like because of the matchups with off lanes and stuff like that. So same thing with Drow. Like, Drow's not the best hero in the world right now. Well, she's just like an average hero. Ranged heroes are good. So you can pick her as a carry. She's pretty good. The Shard's decent now, all that kind of stuff. Even the one facet where you can like move while you use your one farming like channeling ability makes it pretty good that you can at least kind of like dodge stuff and you're not just stuck in one place when you use that ability, which can be pretty cool now. Then we have Nature's Prophet. NP is, it's weird because this hero can play all these different positions. It feels like it's going more into a carry now, which I actually like that. I don't like the support spammy version of the hero, but the thing that makes this hero broken is just the fact that, I mean, it has good stacking, it right clicks, all that kind of stuff. I think the level 20 talent is still insane with the root. That's kind of crazy, especially because they buffed roots now. So you can't actually use Force Staff to get out of it, which is insane. But the other thing that's super weird about the hero is that the treant that you can get, like the one treant when you get that level 25, I think it is, the treant like is impossible to kill, and it literally like 3 shots tier 3 towers. Like, just go in and demo it one time and just see like how fast it kills that tower in the demo mode or whatever. It's just absurd. So I think those things, the level 20 talent, the buff to the leashing, and then that one treant that can just delete buildings is kind of ridiculous, and that's what makes the hero good. But obviously does the same kind of things it has always done, like ganking and TPing around and farming all the time and all that kind of stuff. Then Spectre is a decent melee carry, kind of one of the rare ones, But I think this hero is kind of one buff away from being S tier broken. I think it's very, very good. It's just early on, you can have trouble against certain lanes like Beastmaster or whatever. Like, it's just going to be hard for you to get your farm up. But if you get to that 20-30 minute timing and you get 2-3 items, you're going to be very, very hard to deal with. The one benefit to the hero is she does actually participate in fights now more, with the ultimate being lower cooldown and not being the old haunt. It's just like that one haunt on one hero, so it's good for ganking. But like I said, still the early game is just weak enough that like even something like PA or a lot of these other heroes just participate early way more. Even Medusa, who likes to farm, like you can at least like go hit a tower after you get Manta or something like that. This hero just almost does nothing other than the ult, and even early on the ult doesn't do that much. So it can just be difficult if you're against a bad lane or have a bad start. Then Monkey King, pretty good hero right now, I think overall. The biggest thing with the hero is that your tree dance, like jumping from tree to tree, takes like 0 seconds now. It's insane. You can just jump all around. So that's really, really good for escaping, getting into fights, just scouting, all that kind of stuff, moving across the map. That's really what makes the hero good. And the hero's being played mid a lot, actually, but you can still play it as a carry. That's why it's B tier, because I think it's better as a mid. People are playing it more as a mid, but it's still a decent carry, so you can get away with picking it. Then we have Lone Druid. Lone Druid would be S tier if it was like the patch before, where you would pick bare necessities and you just have 3 items. You would go like, I think you would just go, what is it? You would, some people were going 3 butterflies, which is insane, but you would almost go like boots, butterfly. Oh, you would go Maelstrom into Gleipnir and then like Scotty. And you would have this like 20 some minute timing that you would have 3 items, but you would actually be 6 slotted because those 3 item slots do like a percentage more, which was like, I think it was 80%. And so you would just be insane. You would have like 60% evasion with the butterfly. You would have like 5k HP, and you would just like 3-shot towers again. I think 3-shot towers, I've said that like 4 times, but still you would just do insane damage. Like it's like crazy, and you can't be brought down, and your bear's just like, just something that just does some roots sometimes, or like fear or whatever. So anyway, that was Lone Druid, but I think you can still get away with playing that version of the hero. It's just not completely busted, but since they nerfed it, people just kind of haven't been playing it at all. So that's why it's down here in B. But I think you can still get away with that. I think even just a typical bear build is also not that bad. Then we have Broodmother. Again, kind of a cheese hero. Not the best cheese hero of all time right now, but still good. I think it was better a few patches ago, and then they nerfed it. It was being played as a carry a lot. Still does all those same things, the lifesteal, all that kind of stuff. Very hard to man fight into. Farm's pretty good, laning stage is good, all that kind of stuff. Just the numbers are down on it, so that's why it's B tier. Meepo, I think, is good for the same reasons it's been okay. People have played it if you're a Meepo spammer. It has the dig, it has the ags. It's very hard to deal with in those kind of scenarios, but at higher MMRs, it's not going to be as good. But if you are a Meepo player, you want to play like a hero that's complicated, like a cheese hero, Meepo can still be very good in stomp games. And then Clinks, I think, is very similar. This hero is a ranged hero, but it's squishy, it's unique, it's a little bit awkward and odd. You have to kind of be a specialist. Even though it's not like, you know, a micro hero like other cheese heroes, it is kind of a cheesy-ish hero right now. But it is decent. It can still work. It's just you have to be wary of the picks that you're picking it into, because sometimes you can just absolutely get destroyed. So that's B tier. Next we have C tier. Wind Ranger was like S tier hero a few patches ago with the ultimate, or the facet that changed the ultimate to be like an AoE thing. That was just deleted. Like you would just run in, click that, and everyone would just die. You just like killed everyone in this AoE. It was insane. They nerfed that, and so it's not as good anymore. And so because of that, people just aren't picking it at all. I think technically it's kind of like one of those things where they nerfed Lone Druid. They even nerfed some of Kez. Like I think people are underrating it a little bit, but I'm still going to put it here in C tier because people just aren't picking it, and the win rate's not that great. But I don't think it's like, it shouldn't be as dead as it is, I think, but it's still not the best. Weaver, another ranged hero, like we see here, Wind Ranger, Weaver, decent heroes. You can still pick it. It's okay, but you know, you'd rather have one of these other heroes, to be honest. And then same thing with Razor. Razor can still be a carry, but he kind of just is almost like an anti-carry. You'd almost rather him be off lane. Like it feels weird to have him as your carry unless you're pairing him with like an IO or something like that. TA, kind of similar. This hero was completely busted when they introduced facets and passives and they changed the way the shield works. Then they nerfed the hero a bit and it kind of fell off. It still is sort of like a pseudo ranged carry in that way, but it's just not as good as some of the other ones. So that's why it's down here and after the nerf. And again, I think this could be a hero where people are valuing it less than it maybe needs to be, similar to Wind Ranger, but still the win rate's not the best, the pick rate's not very high. Then Troll's a little bit awkward. Troll's so weird. He's one of these heroes that every time I do a tier list, I talk about this hero, I'm never putting it high until they change the ultimate. and that's still kind of similar to what I think now. I mean, I think a couple patches ago it was like almost A tier. It was like actually good, and then I don't even know if it really got nerfed. I think it was just overrated. People were picking it a bunch, and I don't think it much changed about the hero. It still does a lot of the same things. It's a ranged hero that's okay. I just never see it very much. People really aren't picking it. In some games, it can be a beast. It can be like you are the #1 man fight hero and no one can fight into you. But there's so many things to deal with this hero now. There's so many of these other heroes that actually can man fight into you or escape and all that kind of stuff. It just doesn't feel that good. Slark, I actually think is okay. I would like to play him in some pubs. I think he can still be a pub stompy hero, but again, not the best right now. A lot of these like melee carries are not great. Same thing with Jug. Like, it can work, it's okay, whatever, it's C tier, like it's not like complete grief, but it's not very good. Anti-Mage similar, like the only reason why the C tier, it's in C tier is really because it's good against Medusa, but even so, like you can pick Anti-Mage carry into Medusa carry and you can still lose the game because the hero just doesn't feel like it does much. Like, at least with PA or some of these other heroes like Ursa, you can buy Battle Fury and like run in. But then Anti-Mage, you buy Battle Fury, you do like nothing. It's kind of insane. I mean, if you're against Medusa, if you're against Storm, sure, maybe that's fine, but still, it doesn't feel that good. You could still even get killed by a Storm or a Medusa early in the game if their teammates are like helping or whatever. And the hero just doesn't feel that great otherwise early on. And then if you don't go the Battle Fury build, like what are you really doing? I mean, that feels like almost more of like a mid or something. It's just awkward. Lifestealer, again, kind of weird. The hero has a decent build with like the Ags build and Radiance and all that kind of stuff. But again, these melee carries just don't feel great, especially in the laning stage. Like I feel like they just get destroyed in the laning stage because they have no way to secure last hits from afar. And the heroes that are being played in offlane right now will just melt and destroy these heroes and just put them so far behind that they can't catch up to one of these super fast farmers. So you're going to get into a situation where you're against this offlaner that's dominating you, and then this Luna or Medusa are just farming the jungle, and at 20-25 minutes, you have 2 items and they have 4 or something like that. You know what I mean? It's kind of insane. Wraith King, another one that's a little bit awkward right now. He has the skeletons that you can pick, which again, kind of weird. There's so much wave clear these days that like, you know, the skeletons don't do much. Then you can do the more damage-centric build, which is okay, I guess. But again, melee hero, you're going to get dominated in lane. That extra life doesn't feel that good right now. And then the last 3 heroes I would say are kind of spammy, you know, cheese-ish like picks. Terrorblade is good if you know how to play him and you're a good Terrorblade player, but he's just not as good as some of these other heroes. He's a melee carry in lane, not the best. You know, like I said, if he's kind of like, I would rather pick Morphling or something like that. I would rather pick these other cheese heroes than I would pick Terrorblade, to be honest. PL, I'm only putting PL here because I think this hero has potential. I think it's similar to Spectre, where like, if Spectre gets 1 buff, it's going to be broken. I think PL is like this hidden gem where, yes, it's not great. Yes, I think Earthshaker's good, and there's all these counters, and Storm is good. But it's just like one little hint away from being broken. I think in most pubs, like below 4K, below 3K, if you pick this hero and are good with it, you can just straight up win the game because the game doesn't end till 40 plus minutes, and this hero is going to be good at that point. But that's the problem, is early on, you're just not the fastest farmer. You can really get ganked into oblivion, all that kind of stuff. There's so many weaknesses with the hero that's the problem. Arc Warden, if you're a spammer of Arc Warden, you can play Arc Warden carry. I would probably play it more as a mid, honestly, but again, you can still play it. Cheese hero, but just one of the worst cheese heroes. Then lastly, for semi-viable heroes, but still like pretty dog shit heroes, we have D tier. Faceless Void is finally terrible. So it was like S tier, A tier for, I don't even know, like a year, 2 years, 3 years, I don't even know. Now it's absolutely awful. One of the worst win rate heroes. They just made the hero overall, all the numbers of the hero they made worse. When the facets were introduced, they gave this hero a facet that is just like completely, it might be the worst facet in the game. For a while, I thought that Sniper's facet was the worst facet in the game. That might have been true, but now people are actually picking that facet sometimes, with the Shrapnel doing a lot of damage quickly, because you can get a lot of damage in, it can be good as a support, that kind of thing. This Faceless Void facet, where your Chrono is just now like a square or whatever, it's just like, it's complete meme. It's, what is it, a support build, like support Faceless Void? Nobody wants to pick that. It's terrible. Stop it. And the other, like Faceless Void can still do what he does before, but he's just way worse than he was. Like numbers wise, way worse than he ever used to be. And all these heroes got a bunch of free stuff and he got like nothing. Then Chaos Knight, kind of awkward hero where they nerfed the lifesteal into oblivion, so now it's not very good. The facets don't really do very much for you because the one facet is a little bit awkward. It like makes your reality rift like disarm or silence, which can be good, or a break or something like that, I think, which can be good. But that feels almost like more of like a support-ish or like an off lane, not really a carry. And otherwise, you just get out-carried by so many of these other carries. Sven, again, is like, Why would you pick Sven as this melee carry that farms quickly but falls off like an insane degree when Luna and Medusa are here farming as fast or faster than you, and then they're just way better. So that's why Sven feels bad. I've seen people pick Sven. I've even seen some Svens in pro games, but it almost feels like they're just like defaulting to this Sven because he just, what else are they going to pick at that time or something like that? Like they don't want to pick one of these guys, so they're like, okay, well, I'm just going to pick this or something. Like it just works in that game because they want to play with like a fast farmer, but all of them are banned or something like that. This hero used to be a support actually with like the buff to the armor like AoE ability, but that kind of got nerfed, so that's not really a thing anymore. Now it's just like dead. Ricky, you just don't farm. You're not going to buy Battle Fury. It's very awkward. And if you do, I don't know, do you want to buy Diffusal? That's good. It's just, you're going to get stomped in the lane probably. You're not going to catch up and farm. Like, if this hero reaches 30, 40 minutes and has like 5 items, yeah, it's a beast. But that's just not going to happen. So that's why it's down here. Bloodseeker's just at a super weird spot. It's just like, what is this hero actually good against? I mean, other than just clicking R on Pango, because Pango's a good hero, it just doesn't feel good. Like, if you click R on these heroes and then you run in, like, are you going to man fight? No, you're not man fighting any of these heroes. Like, I think the Axe is actually a little bit underrated on the hero, and I think it has potential. But right now, it's just not very good. Lena's not a super good carry, just super squishy. Why would you pick her when you could pick any of these other ranged heroes? Naga, more of a support right now. So if anything, honestly, I could put Naga over here. I mean, you could play this hero as a carry, but just it's not really carry, more of a support. Marcy, again, just not really the role that you should play it in. Maybe if you had some carry from the offlane, carry from the mid kind of heroes, you could play this Marcy, but more of a support or an offlane kind of thing. And then Pudge, I put this hero down here as like a cheese hero. Again, one of those that's been played carry in the past, but is not that great at carry right now. I think you can still get away with it. Like I said, if you have a mid and an offlane that are going to be carrying you, and you want this like tanky hero that's like a bit utility, but still not that great. I'd rather just like have anything else almost all if you look at the rest of the heroes here. And then F tier, Tiny's not really carry anymore, so that's why I'm putting him here. If anything, I could almost delete him off the list, but it seems like they bring back Tiny carry every once in a while, so that's why I keep him here. And then Sniper has like an okay win rate in some brackets and stuff, and seems like halfway decent in some cases, but to be honest, like I just don't think this hero is very good as a carry. I don't think you should be playing it. I don't know. I just don't think it's going to have the impact that these other ranged carries are going to have. And you just would rather pick almost anything else. And you're going to get run at, you're going to get jumped on, you're going to get killed. Like, that's just going to happen. So that's why it's F tier right now. So that is the carry tier list for patch 7.37D. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, what you think should be adjusted. Let me know your thoughts on Kez, if you think he's A or if you think he's worse or all those kinds of things. And as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.